Jump right in. What obviously you had this experience as a 12-year-old. Did you actually start getting onto a plant-based diet when you were 12 years old, or
Oh no,
on
that,
your
that
own?
that's a
Or
mistake. It was 12 years ago.
oh,
So
there you go,
yeah,
12 years ago. So you were an adult.
yeah, I'm 40. I was 28 when I really started having issues. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So what exactly, what kind of pain were you dealing with at that time?
I was dealing with like chronic muscle pain and soreness, just feeling like my body was always just inflamed and sore. And additionally, I was dealing with like digestive pain, digestive issues, skin issues, chronic fatigue, like a kind of a host of symptoms.
Okay. That sounds like what I'm feeling right now.
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding. Jump in anytime, Angel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Dr. Ben. I think that your story is one of many stories, but a lot of times we look at it from the angle of older or more mature adults. We want to say we don't look at it from a youth perspective. So I find that quite interesting. So can you take us along the journey, kind of how it all when you start noticing that these things became more tremendous to your body, these aches and pains, so to speak.
sure, because it definitely did happen kind of slowly. It started out with just like, wow, I must have worked out really hard yesterday, or I must have worked out really hard 4 days ago. Um, and then it's like food that I ate started to disagree with me, and then it kind of ballooned into like, man, I would be in like 9 out of 10 pain clutching my sides after some meals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the skin just started out as like maybe a little like just looked like a small rash in my hand, but then it was like all over my fingers, and it was like I didn't want to shake people's hands. I kept my hands in my pockets and like that. And so then I was also noticing I just felt like I was just tired all the time. I felt like I needed lots of like energy drinks to get through the day, and it just slowly got worse and worse to where it was like really inhibiting my life, and I had no drive to do anything really outside of my job. Like I would just go into work for, my work week and then just spend the weekend in bed because I was just so like exhausted and in pain and didn't really want to do anything or hang out with anybody. And that's when I finally realized like, wow, something's seriously wrong. I can't I can't just say, oh, I feel old at 28, like obviously, no, I didn't want to confront it at first. But it just got to the point where it was interfering with my life so bad that it was like obvious something was wrong.
So
Sure.
did this lead up in months or years? Do you think, Dr. Ben? So prior to, I mean, was it like between 25 and 28, or right at 28?
No, it was probably like it was probably at let's see how 28 approaching into 29. It was like over the course of about 6 to 9 months.
Right. And when you talk about pain, it doesn't matter where it is or when it happens. Pain is pain. So what started you on your journey, or maybe even who started you on your journey? Did you do research? Was it someone that you heard that you had heard during the lecture? Tell us about how everything kind of pivoted for you.
Sure. Well, I mean, I started just going the traditional medical route because I didn't know anything about like, diet can help. I thought anything that was like alternative or natural health was a hoax and like a money making scheme and just quackery. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll go to the doctor and I'll complain about problems A, B, C, and D, and then they'll just give me medications X, Y, and Z, and problem solved.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really what I was, walking in thinking would happen. And much to my dismay, it didn't work out like that. It was, oh, well, okay, you got digestive problems. Let's send you the gastroenterologist. Oh, you got, skin problems. Let's send you the dermatologist. And each symptom was like a different specialist. And so one doctor's appointment became like 5. And then each one of them is like running their own tests, their own blood work, throwing different medications at me, saying, oh, I can't figure it out. Let's send you to the next guy. And so it just became this just kind of like hot mess of like different doctor's visits and everyone kind of like throwing their hands up, not really sure what to tell me. And so, and it was like I had health insurance, so it wasn't like costing me a ton of money, but it started costing me a lot of time because it was like just going from guy to guy. And then it was like, it sort of got to the point, it was like, well, I kind of know what they're going to say before I even meet with them. So do I really want to do this again? Like, am I really going to like have this conversation? Like at some point, no one's fixing the problem. And I got flustered. I got upset and kind of realized that like this was not a way out or a way through. It was just going to dig me deeper and deeper into the hole of frustration. And so I just kind of fired all my doctors, stopped going to all these appointments because I was like, you know, it's like Neo in the Matrix. Like, you know what happens when you go down that road, Neo, right?
Yeah.
And just started researching, honestly, just like typing into Google, like, you know, what do I do about digestive problems? And of course, WebMD is like no help, you know. And and so I just started reading information that says like, oh, you know, if you eat healthier, a lot of these problems go away. And I thought, well, I'm not doing that. I mean, there's got to be like a real solution, right?
And I kind of want us to stop right there because you said, well, a lot of people think is quackery when we talk about holistic healing, natural healing. Like you said, people think, okay, they just want your money. This is a bunch of crackery, as you said, right? And that it's not real. There's no way. The doctors are always right. And so going through that, once you started to do your research, then Googling, which a lot of us do that now. I even do that, right? If something happens to me, I go straight to Google and my family's like, you need to stay off of Google. But there's so much information out there in the World Wide Web.
Yeah. And I think, and so I was raised that basically like, oh, if you do anything alternative, it's just because you weren't smart enough to get into traditional medical school.
Sure.
That's what I was taught. And I quickly learned that like these guys who we had, you know, venerated were actually not that smart. And like, we're just kind of following a formula and reading off a playbook and then like could not go off script at all. So yeah, I became rather disillusioned. And at the time, I just thought, well, I'm a special case. Like normally they can help everybody, but they just can't figure out me. So, and like, luckily, you know, I think I'm pretty smart, so I'll figure it out on my own. And so, yeah. And now I think there's a problem where Google is definitely like biasing the search results, and like, you know, the parent company that owns Google owns a pharmaceutical company. So it's like that, you know, the information availability is not what it was, you know, 12 years ago when I was going through this. Google was much more unbiased, and now it's like, you know, all this stuff is just wiped from the search results. So I just, I just started like, you know, self-educating, self-experimenting, when thought, okay, maybe I'll get a food allergy test and that might tell me some things. Cause like, maybe it does actually have to do with something that I'm eating. Like it you know, cause to me, I was like, well, I've been eating this way my whole life. Why is it only affecting me now? You know, I didn't realize that, you know, 14 years prior, the food supply had been changed with the introduction of GMOs, and, you know, it was doing all these things to my gut lining and all that. And so I remember like getting a food allergy test, and just like the whole thing lit up like a Christmas tree. It was like, I was allergic to like everything I was eating, and I was really perplexed. So I was like, how can that be? You know, it's like, I've been eating this my whole life, and only why now is it affecting me? Right. And I had a pretty like scientific mind. And so that just got the gears turning of like, something's not adding up. I got to figure this out. And it became, so I was working as an engineer, and, you know, I love solving problems. So it became like this problem to solve for me. And so I just remembered, you know, like, okay, well, I'll buy all the food that doesn't have these allergens in it. Like it'll be the gluten-free, soy-free, you know, dairy-free, fun-free macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
And right. And then of course it tastes like cardboard, and you're like, oh man, this sucks. But I guess this is what I'm resigned to for the rest of my life. Guess this is what I got to do, you know, because I remember when I got the test results back for the allergens, I asked the guy, I says to him, like, well, what do you give me for this? You know, like I'm allergic to all these foods. What's the cure? You know, what's the medicine that I take that fixes this problem? And he looks at me like indignantly, like, oh, there's no cure, there's no treatment for this. You just got to stop eating these foods. And I was like, don't you understand? This is all that I eat, sir. He's like, well, you got to eat foods that don't have the stuff in them. And so that was what I went and continued to eat like standard American diet style processed foods that just didn't have the allergens in it. Like I had this no concept of like whole food nutrition, that like if something's highly processed, all the nutrition's been taken out. You should try to eat stuff that like grows out of the ground and off of a tree, because that's has the most nutrition. That was like that was just a concept that at the time I didn't grasp. Now it's common sense to me. And it was common sense to me when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. They were telling me fruits and vegetables are good for you, right? But you get to be an adult and you think you got to complicate everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I thought, okay, I'm getting nowhere on this like expensive cardboard food that has no allergens in it. Why don't I try eating the fruits and vegetables? And like, I was like, I really don't like to cook. I just like to microwave everything. So I guess the blender could be like the microwave, and I'll just throw the food in it, and then I'll just put the lid on it, and then I'll hit the button, and then I'll have my smoothie, and it'll be just like a microwave. And
It'll
just,
be all good.
Yeah. Because I'm lazy. I don't want to learn how to cook or like do anything or like have to make healthy food. That sounds like a chore. So I just started, making smoothies because it was easy and it was effortless, and that's kind of what really set me down the path, because you know, I was just throwing whatever in the blender, and sometimes it tasted good, sometimes it didn't, and then I thought, oh, I should look up recipes on the internet.
You're right.
Because not all these are tasting good. Like I just need some ideas, some inspiration, right?
Sure.
Like maybe I shouldn't be throwing habanero peppers in the smoothie. Like maybe that's a bad idea.
Well, let me hold you up right there.
Sure.
We're about 1 minute out from a little commercial break, and so we can get ready for that. When we come back from that, I wanted to get into more, because from what you're saying, it doesn't sound like any of these doctors that you went to really looked at the situation holistically. They're all specialists and dealing with their own little, corner of the world, but they weren't looking at you as a whole person. And so we really want to touch on that a little bit in terms of more of a holistic approach. And also we wanted to touch on a little bit about the spiritual component to this whole process, because, sometimes we just focus on the body and we don't, think about the spirit that is the source of all these diseases that we are creating for ourselves. So if we don't address the source, the emotional, spiritual connection to the situation, you can cut the cancer out, you can do all this physical stuff, but it's going to come back if you're still doing the same stuff that you were doing. They say the definition of insanity, right, is to keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So let's touch on that a little bit. Are we ready to go?
Hi, and welcome to another informative vitamin mineral magic carpet ride. This week, we're going to be talking about zinc, and it is absolutely, and I think I mentioned this last week, essential for optimal immune functions. Zinc is also necessary for diabetics because it is a component of insulin, and also it binds to the insulin and helps enhance its activity, and that will help lower sugar in the bloodstream, because too much sugar in the bloodstream turns to acid. The acid can eat away at the nerve endings, thus create the blindness. And also too much sugar in the bloodstream impedes circulation, which then sets the body up for diabetic ulcers, especially in the ankles and the feet. Zinc also plays a fundamental role in normal tissue development, along with A, and it helps in cell division, mitosis, when one cell becomes two and so on. Also helps in protein building, as well as collagen formation, along with vitamin C. So you can see that zinc is an essential nutrient. It's also essential in the synthesis of nucleic acids, which control the formation of different proteins in the cell. And I think I told you this before, that the body runs on proteins and enzymes, and that your B vitamins are technically coenzymes and are involved in all of the enzymatic processes that help the body to function. Zinc is also related to the normal absorption and action of the B complex vitamins, as well as A and E and C. More about this next week.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
That was actually our Vitamin Magic segment and not a commercial.
Oh, okay. They need to know about, we need to know about vitamins, right?
That's right. That's right. So that was all good. So Angel's learning how to work the board for Spreaker here in the StreamYard world. Anyway, I don't know how to do it, so I had to defer to her.
Hey, well, we're actually doing it together, so it'll get better by the minute, Dr. Ben.
That's right. We'll work it
No
out.
problem.
Yeah.
Right, so back to my my question before the break, the holistic approach and what we talked about.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a really, really good point because, yeah, medicine is subdivided into these things called specialties, right?
Right.
Yeah, the nephrologist only looks at the kidneys, and the cardiologist only looks at the heart, and the gastroenterologist only looks at the stomach and intestines, and each one's kind of just like, you know, tunnel vision in on his or her specialty.
Right.
And if, you know, the gastroenterologist gives you a drug that causes the kidneys to have a problem, well, that's the nephrologist's problem to figure out, not his, right?
Right.
So there's no accountability. There's no like, and there's no one, like the only person like taking charge of the whole person is yourself, right? So if you're not advocating for yourself, you'd be damned if they will, you know?
Right.
Like they basically see the body as this like, you know, mechanistic, like physical chemical thing, and that all these its different parts are operating completely independently of each other, and that like the big picture doesn't need to be looked at. And the other problem is that the model that they do it actually serves them to make more money and see you for more visits, right? Because if they can cause a side effect or a problem by doing one thing, then you need another medical intervention. Well, that's more money that they can make, and another practitioner that could see you. And so to them, it's like the sicker that you are, the more money they can make from you. And so
you spend your whole life going to specialists and not getting anything resolved.
The whole system is incentivized to, like, it's not that they are trying to keep you sick. It's just that the way that they've created things kind of ensures that.
Well, they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, doctors are not trained in nutrition and herbs and, you know, natural healing and stuff and lifestyle changes and things like that. So they just don't know. They're just doing what they were taught in medical school.
And what they're taught in medical school is basically to memorize a whole bunch of information and then regurgitate it for a test. And when you're learning that much information, there's no time to think critically of it. So they're just really good at like parroting what they read in a book and following a script, following a protocol, following an algorithm of like, if this, then do that, right? And to them, if it's like it wasn't in the textbook or wasn't in the algorithm, if they weren't taught it, like it doesn't exist, it's not a thing. So they would see someone like me and be like, we can't figure this out. You must not actually be sick. It must be in your head. Your blood work looks normal. Nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like the football games where they have analytics versus common sense. You know? It's like, okay, analytics say this, and I go, common sense says this. How about that? How about
and it's not. Yeah, it's not about looking at the whole body as mind, body, and spirit. It's looking at the drug to treat the symptom, and it's not looking at it in the modern medicine in it isn't. So
we have a sick care system, not a healthcare system.
Exactly. So, so Dr. Ben, tell us about what you practice now and what you do now.
Sure.
And what kind of doctor are you, by the way?
Yeah,
sure, absolutely.
I was following the script here.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get out of that box.
I think we mentioned it
Go ahead.
God.
Mentioned at the beginning, I have two businesses. So I have a health coaching business where I help people with autoimmune disease, and I have this book and all of that. And that's really something that I do. I don't need to see people in my office in Arizona for that. I have clients all over the country, all over the world for that. And then I do practice as a chiropractor in actually my office. I share my office with Elizabeth Be More Clean.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good.
And so I practice that, share a space with her, and I mostly treat like.
Oh, you're that guy. We used to do our radio show in your space.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, you're
That's
that
hilarious.
doctor. Okay.
Yeah, I'm never there on Saturdays,
You're
so
never
I
there on
was
Saturdays.
like,
That's right.
can we use it? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever in there,
Okay. All right. So you're part of the family. Come on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being a health coach. That's really a big buzzword these days. I guess really in comparison, in my view, to a medical doctor. People are becoming more concerned, I guess, with their wellness. And so as a health coach, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing today as far as a lot of dis-ease in people's bodies. What are some of the things that are like at the top of the list that people are kind of dealing with these days?
And let's make sure we touch on the spiritual side that we were going to talk about as well.
Oh,
as
yes.
As a part of that question.
Oh yeah, that you brought that up, and that we got to fit that in somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, for me, I'm dealing with, I'm mainly focused on autoimmune disease. Like if people come to me for like weight loss or like type 2 diabetes or something, like that's not really my jam. I'd rather work with people who, have dealt with a problem or dealing with a problem that I've dealt with.
Well, let's break down that word autoimmune disease.
Yes.
Let's break it down. What does that mean?
Oh, great question.
Auto means, like, to me, automatic.
Yeah.
So
auto means
like, immune means I'm not going to get it again.
Yeah, right. It's like I'm gonna automatically get it. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah.
So,
so auto means self, and immune is your system that fights disease, your immune system, right? So it means that your immune system is attacking yourself, which is very puzzling for modern medicine.
So you're beating yourself up. You're beating yourself up.
Yeah. And so they say, this is this system that's supposed to help you, and now you're creating antibodies to attack, your own joints or your stomach or your thyroid or whatever. And depending on where the immune system is attacking, they give it a different name, right? So if it's attacking your thyroid, it's Hashimoto's disease. If it's attacking the joints in your hands, it's rheumatoid arthritis. If it's attacking your large intestines, it's ulcerative colitis. So it's the same disease process going on in different parts of the body. Mm-hmm. And the medical approach is to basically say, oh, your immune system is attacking, whatever it is, your joints, your stomach, your thyroid, your brain, whatever. Let's suppress your immune system, suppress it, just shut off your immune system. And then you won't have your symptoms anymore because your immune system won't be attacking you. But oops, we kind of forgot that you kind of need that immune system. And if it's not working, you're going to get sick with other things. And that's okay. We can just send you to another doctor for that, right? It's like they just love to create more problems with their solutions.
So what do they classify as autoimmune disease? What type of diseases are we talking about when we talk about?
So we're talking about
side effects or the impact
side effects for the immune suppressant drugs.
Well, no, just in terms of if you have it, what do I have? What did you actually have? Was it just pain, or was it a combination of issues with your stomach and?
Yeah, it was definitely multifactorial for me. So like these kind of have buckets that they go into. I had a condition called myalgic encephalopathy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like
way over my head.
If you say so.
Words, right?
If you say so.
Okay.
They give it fancy names. So the doctor's like, you have a myalgic encephalopathy. You better do what we say. You better
Sounds
take a
like
whole
a foreign monster from another planet.
Yeah. So some you might have heard of, rheumatoid arthritis, okay, fibromyalgia, lupus, Crohn's disease, Hashimoto's. These are some of the more common autoimmunes.
Okay. What about the ears when people lose their balance and stuff like that? What do they classify it?
I don't think there's anything autoimmune in that.
Okay.
Like people lose their hearing with old age, lose their balance. That's just more of an aging thing. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into the spiritual side now. What are you saying to your patients on a spiritual side that you found that the autoimmune is connected to some kind of emotional or spiritual connection in some way?
That's a great question. I really I let people kind of choose their own path on that, as far as like their belief system and all of that. But I think that there's definitely like a spiritual component to being sick, and sort of like
have you looked at Louise Hay's books, for example, as she talks about Louise Hay?
Yeah, like that you can heal your life, and mindset is super important, because I have people coming to me and they're like, my ankylosing spondylitis is really bad. And I'm like, you're what? They're like, my ankylosing spondylitis. And I'm like, is it yours? Like, do you own it? Like, because let's have a conversation. If you keep saying, oh, my disease, my diabetes, my cancer, take away my cancer. Right. It's like you're possessing it when you use that word, right?
Exactly.
So like the language that you use is very important.
True.
And the medical profession loves to tell you about how sick you are and diagnose you with a bunch of diseases, right? It's like, and once we figure out what's wrong with you, because something's wrong with you, and you're bad, and there's things wrong with you, got to tell about what's wrong with you, so we can fix those and cut them out of you and drug them out of you to get you better. It creates this mentality where you just like, you believe you're sick and you believe you're a victim, right? And so that's why I created the name of my book is called Create Health. Okay, it's not called Fight Disease. Right. That model doesn't work. You're just chasing after symptoms. You're like, I got to fight this, I got to fight that, and you're so focused
exactly right. As a shaman, and I tell my clients that nothing has any power in and of itself. You have to ascribe power to it in order for it to be there. And so, self-talk is very important, and I think we're going to have to go to a break, and we want to touch on some more of that and get into some other questions. Do you recommend lifestyle changes? We'll touch on a little bit more of that when we come back from the commercial break. Are we ready for the commercial break?
Yes, and we'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Kitchen Corner. I'm your host, Danielle Del Castillo, and I'm here to talk about building health starting in the kitchen.
Are you tired of losing the same 10 pounds over and over again? Then Break the Chains of Dieting by David Medansky is for you. Break the Chains of Dieting provides hope for you to finally lose weight and keep it off without going on a diet, without exercising, and without having to count calories. For less than you'd spend on a pizza, this book gives you the solution you've been looking for. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and antidietadvocate.com. Order your copy today.
Bloated? Constipated? Wish there was a way to find relief without nasty side effects. Colon hydrotherapy is an ancient natural practice that gently cleanses the colon with filtered water. Be More Clean specializes in colon hydrotherapy and customized holistic nutrition built for you. Stop by Be More Clean on Scottsdale Road in Thomas, or visit our website at BeMoreClean.com for all your holistic wellness needs.
Life is about flowing. Our life depends upon the flow and balance of fluids within the body. Maintaining balance and harmony on all levels in life is the ideal way to live. Michael's cholesterol metabolism factors and Michael's blood pressure factors allow for the flow of life to progress in balance and harmony. Let Michael's cholesterol metabolism factors and Michael's blood pressure factors be factors in your flow in the enjoyment of life.
Take back your medicine cabinets. Take back your life is one of Pharmacists for Humanity mottos. To do this, sign up with our Medicinary via Fullscript, where you'll find practitioner-grade supplements like liquid vitamin D and milk thistle extract for your well-being. So go to our Facebook page and click on Start Order to create your account with us today. Search pharmacist, the number 4, humanity.
Life is exciting, fun, and full of adventure, but sometimes it can be unpredictable. When the unexpected hits and you feel trapped in a financial pinch, trust UPI Loan Fund. We operate with integrity and aim to get our lenders back to living life without worrying about hidden fees and high interest rates. When life throws you a curveball, call UPI Loan Fund for low interest loans that you can trust. Learn more. Visit our website, upiloanfund.us. That's UPILOANFUND.us.
Are you looking to ditch caffeine, or do you enjoy coffee but want a delicious caffeine-free cup in the afternoon? Give Genantic Myaseed Coffee Alternative a try. A nutrient-rich coffee alternative using one ingredient, the roasted and ground myaseed, a superfood sourced from Mexico that is alkalizing to the body and high in nutrients, giving you a sustainable nutrient-based energy that your body craves. You can buy on Genantic.com. That's JNANTIK.com.
Spiritual awakening is the process of becoming more in touch with your spiritual core. It is a wonderful journey that is unique for each individual. New Day Healing believes that spiritual, physical, and emotional awakening are all intertwined to create the beautiful beings that we are. New Day Healing offers a wide selection of world music, awakening radio, wellness tools in their spirit shop, and more. Check out their website at newdayhealing.net.
Welcome back to the Healthy Grocer Radio Show. I'm Safir Mahdi, your host for today, with my beautiful co-host, Angel Burt, and she's working the dials real good back there with all that technology stuff. And we're talking with Dr. Benjamin Benulis, who is focusing on healing chronic pain. That's what he does. He has a book that he wrote called Creating Health, Reverse Autoimmune Disease Without Drugs or Their Side Effects. So, Dr. Ben, so do we want to touch on a little lifestyle changes that people can do to kind of deal with pain? What kind of specific things can you recommend for people based on the different types of pain? Like, for example, I have a pain in my neck right now. So what would I do for that? Or a lower back pain, or, other different types of pain that you address. Do you have lifestyle changes that you recommend? Obviously, you are on a plant-based diet now that you talk about and things of that nature. So any kind of lifestyle changes that would include, healthy eating and exercise or stretching, because I do a lot of stretching. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. So yeah, healthy eating, that means that word can mean a lot of, be open to interpretation, but I say, fruits and leafy green vegetables in mass quantities. Here we got the smoothie. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty dark colored. We got about, 2 fistfuls of blueberries. We got about 10 bananas and about half a head of lettuce. So
that looks like one of my smoothies right there.
Yeah. So it's not like, eat an extra apple with your ham sandwich. It's like, no, really hit the fruits and vegetables hard.
Sure.
So that for sure. Getting enough sleep is huge. I think that in general we're overstressed and underslept, and the ways that we deal with stress in society are usually things that are actually destructive to our health and end up causing us more stress. Alcohol, cigarettes, unhealthy eating, television, internet scrolling, just things that aren't actually that good for us, right? So,
oh man, you just wiped everything out, man. You just destroyed all my fun. I can't scroll anymore, huh? Can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going for a walk might actually be better for you, but this is what we've.
Okay.
Am I perfect about that stuff? No. I definitely have issues with technology. It's hard to get away from. I run my business on it. It's hard to step away sometimes.
Practice what you preach, Doc. Right?
I'm sorry, say that
we
again.
Have to practice what we preach.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the new frontier for me, is getting off my phone by dinner time and
sure,
all that. And it's obviously you can't change everything overnight, right? So you got to focus on just changing one habit at a time. Otherwise, you just overwhelm yourself and nothing. And you fall back on it all, and you don't make any forward progress, right? So
right. Do you have a technique to stay away from corn chips?
Yeah, don't keep them in your house. That would be my number one thing. Yeah.
Right. Don't keep them in your house, and don't have any hummus on the side either. So no, hummus is good. Just wrap the hummus in some lettuce wraps. There you go.
Yeah, zucchini chips, cut your own vegetables up. Yeah, that's probably a better strategy. But yeah, I think in general, if there's a food you're trying to avoid, you don't keep it at home, and you keep plenty of the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
well, I banned sugar from my house 40 years ago. So
nice, good work.
No white sugar. No sugar at all, not even honey.
Yeah. And I really like to focus more on including the good stuff than trying to avoid the bad stuff. Again, that's why the book is not called Fight Disease. It's called Create Health, because it's like, if you're focusing so much on like what's wrong and like, oh, I got to not eat this and I got to not eat that. And I got like, no. Just like focus on what you do want, right? Because
don't judge yourself. Don't judge the food.
Yeah.
And the food won't judge you.
When you focus on what you don't want, you end up, even if you're saying like, I don't want to eat corn chips, it's like, your brain still hears corn chips, right?
No, I do want to eat corn chips. Definitely.
And so,
but I know me and corn chips is not going to, be a perfect marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like we do these things in society where we're like, oh, we're going to have a war on drugs, right? We're going to have a war on cancer. We're going to have a war on terror. It's like, war on drugs, like we got more drugs than ever. Fentanyl overdose deaths are like through the roof. Every American's on like 5 prescription drugs. Like as time goes on, we're just losing this war, like more and more and more, right? War on cancer. It's like cancer is now number 2 cause of death. Fighting it out with heart disease to be number 1. Okay. War on terror. We got, arguably more of that than we ever have. It's like when we focus on fighting what we don't want, we end up just creating more of it. So we really got to focus on what we do want. Because that's the only way we're going to get it. And the medical model is all about let's fight disease, let's fight what we don't want, and it's create more and more.
A lot of fighting going on.
Yeah,
not a lot of curing going on, healing.
Yeah, so the quality of questions that you ask is really important, because if you're like, how do I not eat corn chips? That's a question that's you're never really going to have an answer that you like. But if it's like, what can I do today to be the healthiest, happiest version of myself? Well, then you got some things you can work with, right? That's a more fun question to pursue.
Well, you can start working on putting your chips in a smaller bowl, and then like reducing the size of the bowl.
I mean, that's like telling an alcoholic, drink out the beer out of a smaller glass. Like,
or drink the wine out of a smaller. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't really work. Yeah.
It's a nice thought. Okay, Angel, I know you got questions over there. Could jump on in.
I wanted to ask, if you feel like the clients that come to you are becoming more conscious about their health. Is that why they're seeking a health coach?
Yeah, I mean, they're mainly seeking a health coach because, I talk about my own experience going through the medical system, and they identify with that. And a lot of these people have been going down that road for, sometimes 10, 15, I just started working with someone this week who's she's had MS for 19 years. She's on a walker. She's done every drug they've told her to do. Mm-hmm. She's done everything they've told her. And it's like, I keep getting worse. And she's like, I'm kind of realizing that they're not going to be able to help me. So I'm willing to try something drastic, as crazy as eating lots of fruits and vegetables.
And so I kind of want to go back to Saphir's question about spirituality. So now, because you are becoming more conscious, do you find that you have more spiritual conversations with your clients?
Well, yeah, I mean, it often boils down to it, because it's like, why is it a struggle for you to take care of your health or make healthier choices? And it's often a spiritual problem, that it's like they really don't value themselves, or they really struggle with like some sort of self-sabotage behavior that's keeping them unhealthy. Or
trauma, perhaps, that they've experienced in their life. Do you
totally
get in that sort of dialogue with your clients?
And so it's like a lot of times the discussion isn't even about the food. It's where they have their biggest breakthroughs is just like life stuff, conversations that they needed to have. And then once they work through all that, like eating healthier and developing all the habits becomes a lot easier.
Well, and we are, you know, as a society, we're dealing with a lot of free radicals, and again, just healthy foods, GMO. What do you think about what is 5G, and what does the 5G effect have on our health?
Sure. Well, that's a whole other conversation I'm happy to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so just as a background, I worked as an engineer for 10 years in the semiconductor industry. So I have an understanding of this stuff.
Okay.
But 5G is basically a set of frequencies, okay, that are used for telecommunications, specifically cell phones, but also all these other wireless devices, your Fitbit, your Apple Watch, you know, your like anything that sends and receives Bluetooth, any of that is all 5G. And so the 5G frequency band is something called microwaves, okay? The same frequencies that are used to, you know, zap your food. And so they found that they can send information via microwaves, all right? It sounds pretty benign, right? But if they're like, oh, 5G instead of microwaves, it's going to use X-rays. And these towers will be up and they'll just zap X-rays every which way, and we'll get our information. Our cell phones will be able to talk to each other through X-rays. Everybody be like, whoa, X-rays? Like, I don't want X-rays being shot at me. Those things cause cancer, right?
Right.
Well, it turns out that microwaves are about as pernicious, maybe more, right? And I use that word pernicious, it means deadly. The microwave radiation is toxic to humans, okay? And so this is the type of radiation that 5G uses, is microwaves. It's been shown in hundreds of years of studies to be toxic to humans. Militaries have even studied it using it as a weapon. If they beam microwaves directly at their enemies, they can fry them and kill them, and, you know, make their eardrums burst and all this stuff.
Wow.
So it is essentially a weapons technology that's being used as a telecommunications technology. It's a pretty bad idea. And just the whole idea of basically taking the internet and beaming it through the air at everybody is not really that safe. Like, all that information has to go through, takes radiation to shoot it, and that radiation has a cumulative effect and isn't good for your health. But really, the safer way to do it is to just use these things called wires, okay? And then you can send the information through this wire, and then it doesn't harm the person. Now, you won't be able to watch Netflix in your car,
Right.
but it's a safer technology. And so now we're just spoiled, where we just beam everything through the air constantly, and it has a cumulative effect on our bodies. It's not good for us. So we really got to be careful with our exposure to these things, like your Wi-Fi. Think of it like a faucet, right? You don't just keep the water running when you're not using it. So that's a waste. Well, same thing. If this is beaming radiation at you when you're not using it, it's not the best for your health. Turn it off when you go to sleep. Turn it off when you're not using it, and then just turn it back on when you need it. You know, obviously you can go live in, you know, seclusion in a monastery with no electricity for the rest of your life, but most people don't want to do that. So the solution is to just moderate the amount of radiation exposure you get, and just do the best you can with it.
Well, you know, they penalize you now for using wires. You can't even hardly find wires anymore, you know, a wired mouse. You can't go into an Office Max and find a wired mouse anymore. You know, it's crazy, you know. And then they charge you more money if you want to be off the grid. If you don't want to have a smart meter on your house, you know, you gotta get a dumb meter and pay more, you know, for it. The so-called dumb meter, because versus smart. But I don't know if that's smart, you know, having all those waves coming through your house and through your brain, you know. So I pay extra for the dumb meter, you know, because I'm
It's smart for their business model, because less work for them to read their meter. They can just drive by with the truck and get a reading, as opposed to having to, like, get out of the truck and go and write it down, right? So it costs more money, so they pass that cost on to you. But it's like, what's the cost to your health, right? If you
exactly. So do you think that the 5G is affecting our so-called autoimmune, or creating a lot of this autoimmune stuff that's going on?
I mean, I think you know, the data shows that, you know, it's correlated or causative with many different disease conditions. Autoimmune, not so much, but I think it, you know, it really affects heart health. It really affects things like anxiety and mental health, and it affects like sleep and digestion and things like that. So it has pretty widespread effects. I don't think it's necessarily a cause of autoimmune disease, but it's just something that I've been, my curiosity has been piqued about, because I worked at a company that developed a lot of the technologies that are now 5G. And now that I have a better understanding of how, the radiation affects human health, it's like, okay, this is a concern. And when you work for these companies, I mean, it's not like a drug company where they have to do a human safety test to see if their stuff's safe. They don't. Like, there's no one running tests to see if this stuff is safe. It's just like assumed like, oh, it's just a computer chip. It's a wireless antenna. Like, we don't have to safety test this. It's regulated by the FCC, not by the FDA. So no one's really looking at it like, is this harming health? Because no one has to, because there's no laws that say that they have to. So they're just running them up, doing what they want, thinking that like, oh, we're doing a good thing. We're bringing, they see the commercial, we're bringing 5G to everybody. You'll all be swimming in a pool of radiation. And, it'll be great because you can step outside, press a button on your phone, and an Uber will be there in 0.2 seconds. And God forbid you have to wait longer than that.
Yeah, exactly. Does this 5G, do you think 5G has more of a negative effect on younger people or children?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, you got kids walking around with these phones in their hand all day long.
Yeah, I mean, kids' brains are still developing. Their skulls are thinner. Their bodies have more water in them, so they absorb the radiation wavelengths more. So, yeah, it disproportionately affects kids worse for sure. Yeah.
How can we protect ourselves from the radiation from the phones? Like, is there a case you can put around it or something that you can do to minimize?
I mean, here's the thing. If the phone can receive and transmit a signal, it's giving off radiation, right?
Right.
So, we can turn it off. We can put it on airplane mode like that. We can, hermetically seal it in what's called a Faraday wallet. These things work. They won't give off the radiation, but then the phone also won't work while you do it, right? So it's a matter of like basically modulating your use and not carrying it around in your pocket, right? Putting it on airplane mode, turning it off when you go to sleep, when you're not using it, when you go to a meeting, when you just want to relax and do something else. So it's tricky because the devices are designed to be addictive. Like, you want to sit there, and so they made it that way, right? And so to like put it away for a while and get it back is tough to do, but that's kind of the best solution, unless you want to just go become an Amish person and live in Ohio and live on an herb farm.
Well, Doc, we're going to touch on wrapping this up in a little bit after our kitchen corner. We'll go to our kitchen corner segment now with Danielle. And when we come back, we're going to get some advice from you in terms of how we can, positively impact on this autoimmune stuff that's going on in a positive way. Okay?
All right. Be right back.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Kitchen Corner. I'm your host, Danielle Del Castillo, and I'm here to talk about building health starting in the kitchen. Today, we're going to make one of my favorite South Indian dishes called dosas, which are like crepes made with fermented rice and lentil batter. I usually fill them with a mashed potato filling, but we're going to focus on making just the dosas today. To make the dosa batter, you're going to put 2 cups of rice in a bowl, rinse well, and cover with 4 cups of cold water. You're going to put a half a cup of urad dal, which is lentils, any kind of lentils, and 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in a small bowl. Rinse well and add cold water to cover. Then you're going to leave both of these bowls to soak for 4 to 6 hours. Drain rice and the dal, and then you're going to put the rice in a food processor, blender, or wet dry grinder, and add 1 cup of cold water to grind to a smooth paste. It'll take about 10 minutes, and it may be necessary to work in batches. Repeat the process with the lentil mixture and combine the 2 pastes in a medium mixing bowl. You're going to whisk them together and add enough water to obtain a medium thick batter. You should have about 6 cups of batter, and then you're going to cover the bowl with a kitchen towel and set in a warm place. And then this is where the magic happens. You're going to let it ferment until the surface is bubbly. That'll take about 8 hours. And then afterwards, you're going to stir in a half a teaspoon of salt. Use the batter straight away or refrigerate for later use. So to make the dosas, you're going to set a griddle or cast iron skillet over medium heat. You're going to brush with about 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil or oil of your choice. And then you're going to ladle 1/4 a cup of batter in the center of the griddle. Using the bottom of the ladle, you can quickly spread the batter outward in a circular motion to a diameter of about 7 inches. You're going to drizzle a half teaspoon of oil over the top, and leave the dosa batter to brown gradually until outer edges begin to look dry, about 2 minutes, cooking on one side only. With a spatula, you're going to carefully loosen the dosa from the griddle, and the bottom should be crisp and beautifully brown. And then you're going to spoon a half cup of potato filling or anything you like inside of the dosa and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I look forward to sharing more with you next week on the Kitchen Corner.
Well, thank you so much, Dan. For the Kitchen Corner, I'm getting hungry now after that one. I'm ready to eat. I'm gonna go make some grits and eggs. Anyway, we're talking with Dr. Ben, and the topic today has been healing from chronic pain. And Dr. Ben has a book called, brand new book called Creating Health, or Create Health, Reverse Autoimmune Disease Without Drugs or Their Side Effects. Dr. Ben, the closing minutes that we have, can you give our listeners some advice in terms of how to, overcome or deal with, treat, or prevent autoimmune disorder?
Sure. So it's outlined in my book for sure. It'll be out May 24th. You can get it on Amazon or createhealthbook.com. But I mean, the main strategy is just eat as much fruits and vegetables as you can. I mean, this is a half gallon. This is
Man, you get me hungry putting that in front of my face like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like just go bananas on the bananas. Like really,
go green.
Yeah, include like as much as you can in your diet. Just like what an ordinary person would look at and say, "Oh, that's a lot of fruit. That's a lot of vegetables." Like that looks like then you're on track. If you're getting comments like that, you're doing the right thing. So
Exactly.
it's like we live in a country where like McDonald's is normalized. And if you sit on a street corner eating a mango, people come up to you and go, "What is that? What are you eating?" Right? So you got to be willing to be a renegade and do things differently, and stick out like a sore thumb. Unfortunately, because if you fit in and do the standard American diet, well, you're going to get the standard American results, which, as we know, are not looking too good right now. So.
Exactly. And Angel, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, Dr. Ben, I just want to commend you for taking your life journey with health difficulties and turning them around for yourself, and then also reaching out or reaching back really and wanting to help others as well. So it's nothing like people being able to identify with what you've been through. And so I think that is something to say that is commendable.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we have this knowledge that other people don't have, so we have an obligation to share it. So
share if you care.
Yeah, that's right. So definitely. So where can people see you in person, in the flesh?
So my office is in Scottsdale, Arizona, inside of Be More Clean. It's called Life Unfolds Chiropractic. If you want to follow me on social media, it's my name, Dr. Benjamin Benulis, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that. If you want to grab a book, it's createhealthbook.com. Looking forward to connecting. And, if you got questions for me, you can reach out to me on one of those platforms, send me a message. I'm always happy to have a chat.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Dr. Ben, and thank you, Angel Burt, all the way from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Thank you, Sophia, for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. And if you if you've missed any part of today's show, or if you just want to listen again, all show podcasts can be viewed and heard live or on demand 24/7 at Facebook, Twitter, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, most places where you find your favorite podcasts. All right.
That's right.
So thanks again, Dr. Ben. I have to come over and check you out. Now I know where you're hiding out, over at Elizabeth's place, my business partner. So I'll go check you out, and we'll get a colonic over there, and then you can treat me for autoimmune deficiencies.
Sounds like a winner.
And I'll do a spirit dance with you. I'll do a musical aura will help clear you up.
All right, let's jam. Yeah, for sure. It'd be good to meet you. Thanks for having me, both of you. Really appreciate being here.
Right on. So until next Saturday at 11 a.m. Arizona time, thanks for listening to the Healthy Grocer Radio Show. And remember, health is your greatest wealth. Thank you. You've been listening to the Healthy Grocer Radio Show, brought to you by New Day Healing at newdayhealing.net and Be More Clean colon hydrotherapy at bemoreclean.com. Thanks for listening today, and please check us out on your favorite social media sites so you can meet our friend Perry Pearhead and stay up to date with the latest natural products, health news, natural remedies, health retailer and community spotlights, and much more. The Healthy Grocer would love to hear from you regarding previous shows, improving the show, or letting us know what topics you'd like to discuss. So please feel free to contact us live, on air, or email your questions to info@healthygrocerradio.com. All radio show podcasts can be viewed and heard live or on demand 24/7 at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Spreaker, and on our website at healthygrocerradio.com. And remember, health is your greatest wealth.